Hi guys, thanks for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed and you like these videos, I hope you'll help me out and hit that subscribe button. Yes, I'm still in New York in the dark, creepy little hotel room, taking off today. I'm going to talk about Trump and how we are always still surprised by him. Don't be. There's been rumors for a while that Trump has had a kill list. This would have been from his, I think, his first administration, or maybe in between. But the FBI, when we still had a real FBI that worked for the people before it's been purged and put Putin and Trump loyalists in place, that there FBI would have visits with people and say you need to be careful. Let us know what you see, think because you're on Trump's kill list. He has a list of people he hates and wants assassinated. Um, that's what the word is. Okay, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be somebody waiting for me now just for saying this on a video, but it shouldn't be that hard to believe. Every time we hear something about him, the first thing MAGA says is, "Oh no, he would never do that. He's such a great, wonderful man." Well, no. Um, would it be that hard to believe that Trump has a list of people that he'd like to have killed? When in fact, he said to Richard Branson, "Oh gosh, this was before he was president." They had a weird lunch, and Branson said that Trump said, "I'm going to spend the rest of my life exacting revenge on my enemies." We know this. We know that Trump knew in advance that the pandemic was going to kill people, and he simply decided to lie about it and let the people die. This is what he did. This is what he does. And that was in Bob Woodward's book, which we find out, much later than we should have. I've made this statement before that I think that what he has on Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, I don't believe it's necessarily compromise. I think it is threats on their life, or more likely, threats on the life of people they love. The transformation of these two men who ran against Trump, and Trump knew they were effective against him in 2015 in the primary in 2016. And the 180 that they took, I don't believe that with Marco Rubio, that it was just political ambition. I think it was something else. Same with Lindsey Graham, who, I used to know when he was a freshman House member. He was on the committee where I was communications director, and I worked with him rather closely. And we saw how effective he was in running against Trump in terms of really playing great opposition. I wish we had people out there now who would do it. So I think that Trump, he goes by the Putin playbook. And not only does he want to silence these people and defeat them, he wants to show people who are in the know about these types of things what he is capable of doing. I think it's to show off. I think that he wants to show certain people what he can make Marco Rubio do. I think that he wants certain people to be very aware of how he can pull the strings of Lindsey Graham. This is what he does. And this is what Putin does. Remember, I think it was the summer of 2017, was it? When Putin ordered a small group of Republican senators and one Republican House member to Moscow on the 4th of July. That was not an accident. That was Putin showing off to the world that he had that much control over key elements of the United States government, of Republicans in the Senate. This was him showing off, high-fiving, which we've seen him do. And they like to show off that they can do this. Trump admires Putin, admires Hitler. He likes these tactics. We really cannot afford to be naive and think that it would be so outrageous and, just such a big conspiracy theory that Trump would have a list of people that he hates so much that he wants killed. And now that he's in a position where he has that kind of power, now he couldn't really do it as easily, I guess, in his first administration. But now he can, because his corrupt Supreme Court has given him full immunity. He is now putting these outrageously unqualified, unethical, criminally unethical people on his cabinet and on his staff who will do whatever he wants them to do. Some of them like this stuff. The fact that Dan Bongino is at the FBI in any way, shape, or form is pretty frightening. Not to mention, of course, Kash Patel. So, yeah, If they know about the kill list, these would be people who, in my opinion, would be happy to implement it for Trump, or at least look the other way if he and Putin have assassins out there to take care of such things. And some of these things we would never hear about. I don't think it would be as blatant as window cancer, although I don't know. His first ex-wife fell down the stairs in a very convenient time, right before her NDA was about to run out. So, and there were questions surrounding that plane crash or helicopter crash, I forget which it was, of Trump, I guess, employees and associates. That again, very convenient and helpful timing for Trump. So, yeah, you can say, ooh, tinfoil hat conspiracy. Although what you probably think is, Sherry, be careful, they'll get you too. Yeah, I know. I've been a target of Trump's already. It started 10 years ago. I have never had any illusions or delusions about him. I was targeted. I was living here in New York. I was defamed by him. I was shocked when Roger Ailes and Jeff Zucker of CNN obeyed him when he ordered me off the air. Again, there were 15 people running in a primary, and usually any campaign making that kind of a request, they would be outed and they have to pay a big price. But the connections or the hold he had on some of these New York players that I think the Washington players were not aware of. They looked at him as just a joke, not understanding how things work when media is run out of New York. So, you can't think these are such outrageous things or wait until there's proof positive, like he's on camera doing it, because MAGA wouldn't believe it anyway. And yes, I do think there's a very good chance that I think that assassination attempt was staged. It's just a little bit, the details around that are just a little bit too dirty and messy and weird. And he is capable of it, and we know this. Of course he's capable of it. He's done this sort of thing before. So when it comes to Trump, I think a rule of thumb is think of the worst thing, the worst possible scenario of things he could do, and based on what he's already done and what Putin has done, and understand that he would do it. Megyn Kelly once said, before she decided to try to save her career by going MAGA, she was never MAGA, and she got booted from NBC in a very embarrassing way, very high profile, embarrassing way. So she knows which side bread is buttered on, and so she went back to going MAGA. Shouldn't believe any of the stuff that she says. That's the same, by the way, with Greg Kelly at Newsmax. I knew him. He didn't believe any of this stuff, but he had nowhere else to go with his career. When these people get dumped from other places, for behavior, this is what they do. Newsmax likes to hire people who have been, a lot of sexual scandals. They get fired from other places, and Newsmax will hire them. Chock full of former Fox News people who got booted in the Me Too thing, and some of them had to exit some of their jobs, and they did it quietly to save face, especially if they have famous daddies, powerful daddies. And so that's how it works. But when lay people hear things like, okay, Trump has a list of people he wants assassinated, like, no, that only happens in the movies. Well, movies are based on something. There is a reason why all of New York has been terrified of Trump and let him slide for so many decades. And then some of them who were in key positions, law enforcement positions in New York, end up, going on MSNBC and CNN as Trump critics and everything. And they were people who were in a position to stop him and didn't. Everybody let it slide. They were either in on it, or they were threatened, or they knew that if they stood up to him, if they did anything, if they prosecuted him, if they investigated him, that they would be harmed. There's greased palms, there's threats. So never, ever, ever think. We don't talk about it because I guess people, oh no, I don't want people to think I'm nuts, Look at everything he's done so far. So again, I was defamed, kicked off TV, catfished with people. Trump had people pretend they were lawyers representing people with dual citizenship, or a lawyer with the privileges in the UK and here, representing big Republican donors who wanted to make sure Trump didn't win the primary. Okay, well, we nabbed that person. We know who they were. And then the FBI launched an investigation when I was hacked, because the hacking took place as Politico was coming out with a big piece on the catfishing, and that what had done to me at that point, what had been done to me with the defamation, getting kicked off TV, and the whole 9 yards. Um, but before it was published, but in that couple days when they have to, as a courtesy, they have to call campaign and say, this piece is coming out, any comment? It was during that time when I was hacked. So now the FBI said, okay, now we have a federal crime, and they launched an investigation. And this went on for a while. They talked to me a lot. And there were 3 data points pointing to Team Trump as having information from my hacked emails. And we thought they were getting close to indictments. Well, then Trump won, and Jeff Sessions became his AG, and J.D. Gordon knew that, when he was questioned by the FBI, it appears at that point that he just had his old boss, Jeff Sessions. I don't know, the investigation went away magically. So our FBI under Trump in the first administration was corrupt. But I think a lot of law enforcement in New York was also corrupt, afraid, threatened, because they let him get away with a lot. And that's the only way he was allowed to run for president. So when I hear these rumors about a Trump kill list, I believe it. I believe it. And now we don't have an FBI who can do anything about it. So I think we have to talk about these things. So if those plans are in fact implemented, and there's some weird instances of stair cancer, window cancer, that sort of thing, it would be a little bit more obvious. Now, that wouldn't stop Trump because he has unfettered power, but it might make Republicans in Congress think twice. Maybe somebody will grow a spine, or maybe they all capitulate, like Lindsey Graham or Marco Rubio. But I tend to think that sunlight is a disinfectant, and there's safety in numbers. So, so I'm hearing from people that Trump has a kill list, and that the FBI has in fact visited people to let them know that they're on it. I shouldn't be laughing about this stuff, but I know how it's going to sound to some people. But again, if you're just saying this in a vacuum, it sounds pretty unbelievable. But when you look at Trump's history, remember, there's a business term called Bayesian updating, and the oversimplified version of a definition of this is that if you want to know what a company is going to do, look at what they've always done. And I think the same goes for Trump. If you want to know what Trump is going to do, look at what he's always done. It ain't pretty.